My name's James Wood. This is the Metaspeed Sky Paris. Let's get into the review. This shoe, let's get into some stats to start with. So it's 183 grams per shoe in my size 9 UK. It's got a 39.5mm stack at the back and a 34.5mm stack at the toe, or the forefoot, so I say. That gives it a 5mm drop across the shoe. So this shoe uses ASICS' new FF Turbo Plus midsole, which is their PIBA-based midsole. Obviously, it is their top of the line and their most bouncy, responsive midsole that they offer in their range of shoes. You know, it's a super shoe. It's one of the most expensive in their lineup. It's going to be using the top of the line stuff, and I think that is one of the things that makes this shoe so impressive. But we'll get onto that later when we're speaking about the midsole. So first up, the upper. I mean, it's pretty minimal. You can probably see that from here. It's a mesh upper, very lightweight. It has very, soft to the touch, but smooth. It's not anything particularly outrageous or, revolutionary. I think we've seen this kind of upper before. It wraps very nicely around your foot. They're very comfortable shoes from an upper point of view. I've had absolutely no problems with any sort of rubbing, hot spots, anything of that sort. I will say, obviously, in the UK, it can be quite cold in March and even into April, to be honest. However, I haven't noticed it being any sort of cold, even though it's quite exposed on that. You're not going to get much kind of like warmth from this at all. It's a super shoe. It's not really designed for that. And if you're going to do that, then really just wear some thicker socks, although that might compromise your fit a touch, but you should be fine to go, true to size in this, considering the upper. And I think that the way that it's been put together is excellent. Then moving on, the laces here, they are the notched laces, you can clearly see. I personally think these are the best laces you can get in a shoe. They've been used in the Vaporfly 2, I believe the Vaporfly 3, and in Alpha Flies from Series 1. So I think the way that they get a hold on your foot is just absolutely excellent. You can't really do much better. Those little notches just allow you that tiny increment of adjustability. If it's feeling slightly loose, you just notch it up twice. I would compare it almost to, for the cyclists among you, the BOA system on cycling shoes, or on a number of other shoes as well, actually. But you just tighten it, and every click is just a tiny increment more. It allows you to get the perfect kind of lockdown or feel on your foot for the shoe. I think that's so important when it comes to this. I know that a lot of people would argue that you can't make the shoe fit just having good laces, and that's absolutely true. I'm not trying to say that for 1 second, but what I am saying is that the amount of adjustability you get with this is a lot better. I've had experiences in the past with shoes, the Saucony Endorphin Speed 3s that I have. They came with laces that are extremely elasticy, and it meant that getting a proper lockdown and fit was very difficult, because you just pulled the laces to stretch rather than actually tightening it around your foot. And that really put me off the shoes. I actually ended up and have them behind me. I've changed the laces to something that is more akin to this, because I think that they're substantially better, and I now enjoy running in that shoe so much more. So I think it's important to note just how good these laces really are. The padding around the heel, that's not very substantial, as you would expect again in a super shoe, but again, absolutely no problems with fit or comfortability. I've done about 40 kilometers in these shoes now, one of which being a half marathon, and it was perfectly comfortable. I didn't have a single problem with them, regardless of form and everything like that. It was absolutely wonderful. So moving on to the midsole now. As I said, it's ASICS' new PIBA-based midsole, the FF Turbo Plus. It is incredible, might I say. The bounce you get from this is probably up there with the best I've ever felt on a shoe. And for context, I've run in Alpha Flies, Vapor Flies, Saucony Endorphin Pros, Adios Pros, the Primex Strungs. I've run in quite a few different super shoes, and it really amazes me the bounce back you get from these, especially when you start picking up the pace. The way that the sole and the plate combine together amazing pop, and also very, very comfortable. Like I said, similar to the upper situation, the whole shoe is just extremely comfortable. I don't think there'll be many people who would put this on and find it uncomfortable. I suppose if you had a really wide foot, maybe, but I still think that the benefits would outweigh the negatives in that aspect. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But really, when it gets down to it, this is what everyone is here for, and it is top of the line, top spec, as good as the Alpha Fly in terms of how much rebounding you're getting. Okay, there is something to be said that maybe the Alpha Fly is a bit better in other places, but I think when it comes to the midsole, this is absolutely and unequivocally the best. I'd say just better than my experience with the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3, which is up there, probably, which was previously my favorite midsole. So, you know, these Peber-based midsoles are excellent now, and that combined with the plate in the position that it's in, I find it's just unbelievable. When you start picking up the pace, it really gets you going. Moving on to the sole of the shoe, you can see it's quite a minimal amount of rubber. This is a little bit of an upgrade on the old Metaspeed Skies, but you can see there's enough here to kind of go over some moderate kind of wet flooring, things like that. I wouldn't trust it in anything more than, you know, like a shower of rain, especially not anything muddy. I think that you'd quite quickly find out that you could fall over very easily, and obviously the cover is only this little bit of rubber here and then here around into the forefoot. It's designed to cover the main bits of impact. It's not designed to be used in the wet. It's not designed to be used on the trails. It is designed to be a fast marathon racing shoe, or 5K racing shoe, to be honest with you, but racing shoe nonetheless. And that is really where it's focused. It's focusing on where you're going to land. If you're a heel striker, this will scuff up quite quickly. Not as quickly, might I add, as the old Metaspeed Skies. They were notorious for getting holes in here for heel strikers. I've noticed that this is substantially better in terms of durability. But on the whole, as super shoes go, I don't think they could have done much more with the outsole on this. I just think that people aren't looking for that anyway. They're looking to limit the weight. This is the lightest super shoe at 183 grams. You know, that was never ever their intention. So as long as it can get you round, it can get you through, you know, those easy to moderate rain conditions. I think that's all they are really asked of. And they excel in that way. They feel stable and they feel comfortable underfoot. I had, again, no issues really with any sort of slipping when turning. The only slight instability comes from how narrow it is at the back. And it's one of the things I'll talk about later, but the narrowness creates an instability, especially when you're losing form. I noticed that if you try and kind of lean back into it and kind of you lose a bit of your form, it begins to become apparent that you're not feeling quite as stable as before, and you might kind of get that inkling in your head that you might kind of touch your ankle over or something like that. Not happened to me, and I think that you should only really be wearing these shoes if you are intending to kind of maintain that form. I wouldn't be doing them from a slower point of view, so that shouldn't really be an issue for you. If you're buying these, it really is to be going fast and not necessarily full out, but definitely pushing your pace as an individual. And so that instability, again, is by design, is to minimize weight and maximize efficiency when you are going fast. They're not a training shoe. They are a race shoe, and that is as they should be treated. I think it's definitely in your best interest to understand that is how they are, you know, orientated. So next, I wanted to say how the shoes made me feel when I was running them. So that's whether, you know, not just am I happy, sad, angry, but also how did they make me feel on my feet, physically, mentally. You know, I think that's a really important thing about it. I really feel that the whole core of running and exercising in general is to enjoy it. There's nothing you know more amazing than going for a good run and just feeling like you're flying, everything's going amazing, the sun's out, the birds are tweeting. You know, it's that kind of scenario where you really just feel at peace with everything. And I think that genuinely this shoe, I have had some of my best runs I've ever had in this shoe. It's just an absolute dream to be in. It's comfortable, I'm not worried about anything when I'm running in this. I know I mentioned earlier some of the instability from the rear, but if you're wearing it, you're flying around anyway, so you're keeping yourself on that mid to forefoot push. You're not really utilizing that back bit really for anything. Obviously, if you're a hill striker, you'll roll through it, but I think that at pace, still as a hill striker, you'll roll through and you won't ever have a worry about that instability because your momentum's going forwards. I would compare it to kind of like riding a bike. As long as you're going at a certain pace, minimum pace, you won't really notice that instability. The slower you go down to that really, really slow paces, you might start feeling uncomfortable. AKA, if you walk in this shoe after you run or something, you'll be like, wow, okay, I noticed it's quite unstable at the back there. You kind of feel like you're rocking to the side a touch. But other than that instability, I think this is probably the best shoe I've ever run in. It just made me happy and made me excited to go out running every time I've put it on. And you kind of make yourself an excuse to go out for another run and really put it through its paces. I tried it at mixed paces. I did intervals. I did long steady. I actually did some slow just to test out that kind of instability. And you kind of get used to utilizing its benefits, even in the slow. Not that I would recommend it for that, but you can use it for that. There are better options. I would say, you know, if you're going to do like your slow sessions, you don't want to run out a super shoe. It's an expensive way to burn through a shoe's use by. But I just think that it was an excellent shoe, and I was really excited to put it on every time. And that really, for me, is the essence of exercise and running. So can absolutely recommend it from a feel point of view. So that was the Metaspeed Sky Paris review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far in the video, then I really appreciate you watching up to this point. I'm just trying to build a bit of a community here. I'm just, again, trying to give out my opinions on things from a very average, I suppose, runner, or I was going to say athlete, which I think is probably a bit of a stretch. But I just want to give my honest opinions on things, because as they come up, I like talking to my friends about them. So why not share that with YouTube if people are in a similar scenario where they're not sure which shoes to get? There's a lot of choice. They're unsure about whether it'll be right for them. I just want to provide that kind of adequate amount of information that allows you to make that decision and helps you to, think that you're doing the right thing. And at the end of the day, I think it's just about enjoyment, and that's really what I'm trying to do with this channel, is help other people enjoy their running and training, cycling, triathlon, anything like that, gadgets, everything from equipment down. It's just, it's really, really important to me that people just enjoy themselves. So if this helped you at all, leave a comment and a like, and please subscribe if you want to see more of this. I'll have lots of shoe reviews coming in the next few weeks, and I'm excited to do more. Thank you. Bye.